Hello everybody, Terry Carl Joyedian here with Law 29 of Dave Asprey's Game Changers, moving right along, which is track it to hack it. And this is all about tracking devices and your health. I do not personally use a tracker, but my husband does. He loves it. And Dave also talks about how to just check in with your natural tracking, which is your feelings, which he says is great feedback for you on your health. But he does talk a lot about what you can learn from tracking your different symptoms, from what's going on with your body. It can really help you understand yourself almost like a machine, and how you can help your machine run the most efficiently. So let's talk a little bit with some background. Let's start with some background. Dave Asprey says we now have access to a lot more information than we ever had before, a lot more ways to get that information. And he references Dr. William Davis, who I believe is the doctor who wrote about the gut. He's a cardiologist who wrote the book Wheat Belly and also Undoctored. He's the one who's famous for the studies on gluten, the book on gluten. And he's found that those who look into their health and educate themselves and are not completely dependent on their doctor tend to do better. It doesn't mean to dismiss your doctor, but those who also take their own health into their hands, take the advice, do their own tracking as well, have better results. When you track, you can make observations that nobody else can. Like Dave says, you can look at what's happening with your inflammation level and your blood pressure based on different foods and supplements you're taking on a day-to-day basis. That's an example. He really stresses the importance of looking at your feelings, using your feelings and how you feel during the day to help guide you in the decisions you're making. One example that he mentions as far as tracking, and he has quite a lot of examples of how tracking can be beneficial, is low temperature, hypothyroidism. If your temperature is lower than normal, he says that's an indication that you might need more iodine, and that's something you can add to your diet. He also says that didn't work for him and he had his own routine. I'm not going to get into that because he had a disclaimer that if you don't consult with your doctor, it can kill you. So if you want to learn more about what he personally did, read the book. It's linked in the description below. There are other things you can learn about yourself from that. He jumps to that again at the end. I'll come back to that when I get to that. So he does talk more about hypothyroidism, but he also says you can use tracking of your sleep and of your heart rate variability to learn about your body and how to go about your day. For example, he says if you didn't cycle into deep sleep and get that restorative sleep that you needed, then you may want to skip your workout for the day, not overstress your body. If your heart rate variability is low, it means that your body is in fight or flight, and so it may be a good time to take a break, do some meditation, do some yoga to get yourself back on track. But we can't use it as an excuse to not do anything ever. He says, on the other hand, when you're experiencing the opposite, when you had a really great restorative sleep cycle, when your heart rate variability is great, then this is a good time to take on that challenge to really get the bang for your buck, right? With your body and how you're feeling. If you correlate your tracking device, I believe my husband uses Fitbit. Dave Asprey talks about the Aura Ring. If you correlate whatever you're using with your feelings, you can start to really understand what your feelings are telling you throughout the day, which ones maybe are inaccurate, and which ones are really telling you something about yourself. So you can be even more superhuman. Also, there are other examples that you can learn from. He says devices can help you with your chronotype. here it is, hypothyroidism or thyroid problems in general. You may notice it if you have a low temp, if you're tracking your temperature. And it could mean that you have too many whole grains that you're taking in, or it could mean that there are mold toxins in your environment. So if you can find that out and make those changes, you can improve your overall health. What if you have chronic low heart rate variability? That means you have chronic stress. That means your body's holding on to something. What is happening in your environment regularly that's causing all that holding on to stress, that's weakening you? You can look at, do I have a low-grade infection? Do I have sensitivity to a food? Is there an environmental problem? And then he suggests changing up your routine to see how that affects your symptoms that you're tracking. He says routine is great. It really helps you be efficient, but when it comes to using your body as an experiment in a good way, not a creepy way, it can be good to change things up, because your body is an amazing creation, and it will change based on how you change what's happening with the environment of your body. And so you can learn from tweaking some things here and there. Change is also good. Dave Asprey suggests, wrapping this up, that you can hack yourself, and also suggests hacking and tracking to other people in your environment. Particularly if you're a boss, it's a great idea to create an environment where employees are tracking their health and they're learning how different people respond to different situations and need different environments. He actually doesn't reference the 5 love languages, but I heard it in his language where he's saying if someone responds really well to a hug or responds really well to thanks, which is basically words of affirmation versus touch, then he learns his employees, and he knows how to help them have their best experience, be at their best and most efficient. I thought that was neat that he added that in at the end of the chapter. And then at the very end of the chapter, of course, we have his action steps. And he suggests starting with tracking your sleep. You can use a device to track your sleep, but you don't have to. You can also use your feelings. When you first wake up, give yourself a rating of 1 to 10. You really have a pretty good idea of whether you wake up on the right or wrong side of the bed in the morning. So give yourself a rating, and you can base it on how good you feel, how stiff you feel, how anxious you feel, and how easy it was to wake up. Keep track of that. On days that you're low on your scale, maybe back off a little bit, take it a little more easy so you can rejuvenate, so you're not fighting against yourself, causing more stress. But on days you're hitting that, 8, 9, 10, you're really high up on the list, I'm going to try this out myself, then go for that extra, go for the gold, challenge yourself, push yourself a little bit. Know your heart rate, know your variability, your temperature, again, know your sleep quality. He says if it's in your budget, he suggests getting a full panel of health metrics from your doctor. All hormones, full thyroid, inflammation markers, nutrient analysis, anything your doctor recommends to learn the most you can about your body and how it works best. And he suggests getting a biome test, which he's mentioned in previous laws, which actually has to do with your poop. Checking out your poop is amazing. He says how much you can learn just from that. And the person behind the biome test is, I know I've seen this name before, or else I just remember from before, Naveen. Where's the last name? Naveen Jain is the CEO of Biome, and his ultimate goal is to use technology to make sickness optional. It's pretty cool. And he says he believes health begins in the gut, and imbalanced microbiomes. An imbalanced microbiome is a precursor of disease. So something to keep in mind if you want to really take this to its full potential. Hope you enjoyed this today. If you missed the previous laws or want to review, please check them out in this playlist from Game Changers by Dave Asprey, and we will continue with Law 30 next time. If you like this video, please like it or subscribe, or both. And we'll see you again next time. Much love and many blessings to you all. Bye now.